All right, so what's going on, guys? So if you've been following me recently, I've been talking a little bit more about the current times, politics, social issues, various things like that. And I've been reading the comments and I've been just observing and trying to take certain things in. And one of the things that the Lord was showing me is that He's using this time right now in from everything that's going on, from social media stuff all the way to social justice stuff, to politics, to health, technology, and all these different things, to test people's ideologies, their viewpoints, and seeing if they would pass certain tests. And what I mean by that is that a lot of people, they're stuck in their way, in their emotions, their thoughts, their own ideologies, and they're not opening themselves up to more godly perspectives. And what they're doing is that they're allowing their fears, their status quo, their desire for other people not to be affected negatively to dictate their judgment and their viewpoints. And so I'll tell you what I mean. A lot of people right now are opening their eyes up to what's going on in the world. And so I've talked about that a lot. But specifically, there are issues that have come up where in the past, it looked like a conspiracy, it looked like false things, it looked like it was misinformation. But then as time passed, certain things have rebutted it and it has debunked it. So for instance, recently, Durham came out with actual court documents saying that basically Obama and these guys, they were, with the Spygate scandal, they were actually tapping and spying on Trump, right? And so years ago, people were saying, oh no, it's a conspiracy theory. Oh no, that's not possible. That's not possible. And the same goes for many other issues, many different things where people are saying, oh, no, that's a conspiracy. No, ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. No, that doesn't work. Oh, masks. And yeah, no, they work. And so a lot of people, when things first come out, a lot of people, they react very quickly. And so not even just politics, but social media, for instance, right? A lot of people, they reacted years ago to pastors and different preachers coming on social media and posting videos, posting comments, projecting things out into the world. And people are like, no, they shouldn't be doing that. That's ridiculous. And even recently, people are discussing and debating about, let's say, the metaverse. No, churches and pastors, they shouldn't be going into the metaverse and doing those things. They shouldn't go into, these areas. And no. So there's a lot of people that when certain things come out in the beginning, or they are unfamiliar, or it's a foreign thing to them, they go, no, that's not possible. It's outside the realm of possibility. That's not good. And if you think about what that is, it's that a lot of people, they're uncomfortable, they're unfamiliar with what that is, and it's outside of their status quo and what is the norm, right? And you don't want to fix what's not broken type of mentality. But secondly, because of the fear they have in how people would respond and how people would have a certain leaning, whether you want to say a political leaning, whether you want to say an ideological leaning, whether it's a perception issue, whether it's whatever it is, right? And so getting people to have a seed planted in them so that they would move this way or that way. And so out of fear, a lot of people, what they end up doing is they end up just countering it and saying, no, that's not good. Don't look there. Don't go here. Don't think this. Don't consider that as a feasible possibility. And so I'm saying that because from a godly perspective, what God is doing is that He is using these circumstances to humble people, to get them to think critically, to open their perspective, and to really ask the simple question of, am I working there? Is my glory there? Am I using it for some purpose for which in your linear A to B to C mentality, you think that it's not good. You think it's going to stumble people. You think it's going to hurt people. You think it's going to, misrepresent a group or a person or an ideology. You just want to keep the status quo. Versus, is God using those things for some greater purpose and some greater good, even though in that moment it seems irrational, it seems out of place, it seems so new, it seems so ridiculous. People can't use, guys like Trump. People can't use these kind of politics or politicians. There's no way God would do this. And a lot of people they're just reacting by saying, no. And again, I'm not speaking for everything, obviously, right? So I'm not talking about sin. I'm not talking about bad, movements. I'm not talking about, cult movements or sadistic things or bad stuff. I'm talking about things for which it looks confusing. It looks, just out of touch and out of place and just incomprehensible at first. But then as time passes, as you begin to think about it and you see God working and you actually see fruit out of it later on, or certain things counteracting the narrative, counteracting what is basically previously been labeled as a hypothesis, a theory, a conspiracy theory at that, or any other thing for which, with the information you had at that time, with the knowledge and with the limited amount of the cause and effect of what that is, you realize that, oh, I guess God was using it. I guess there was more to it than this. And so a common one is, the metaverse and just moving into that social media space. A lot of people are just saying, no, stay out of it. Stay in the church, the local church, the real church. And I'm of that. Don't worry, I'm of that. I believe that you should be part of a local body. But who's to say that God can't start and use an avenue within the metaverse, whether it's even a formal virtual church, whether it's some way for people, pastors and guys to move into that space. TikTok is another one. Random places for which God is injecting, but in the beginning, because it was a status quo for which people were uncomfortable with. The same goes for Jesus. People, when Jesus came, all the Pharisees, all the guys, they reacted. Their flesh came out and they thought, oh, no, we've had it this way for such a long time, but you're disrupting it and you shouldn't be out in the town square preaching to all these different types of people. We did it this way. Church must be done this way. You have to do it in these four walls with this culture. You have to have a 40-minute sermon every single time. You got to do this. And people are so caught up in culture and in their way of thinking that they can't see outside of why God would inject himself and have Christians in politics, Christians in certain dominions and areas and in business making lots of money. People say that too. Oh, no, Christians shouldn't be making that much money, and no, you should just always be poor and blah, blah, blah. And people can't comprehend how there can be billionaire Christians, multimillionaire Christians. People can't comprehend those things. And so people are writing it off as misinformation or untrue and fighting against these things. So what God is doing now is he's humbling a lot of people and he's opening their perspective and to say, look, there's more to it than this. There's more to me and God and Christ than it is just evangelism, just four walls of the church, just doing mercy ministry. And again, I'm not mocking or saying negative of those things, but he's saying, how could it be that I am in the presence of all these different realms, all these different places and methods? And how is it that because so many people desire for their own perspective, their own reason and rationale to look at something from a perspective with a certain lens, a certain viewpoint, versus saying there could be something God is doing and using and working and all of these things. It's a good versus evil, a righteousness versus unrighteousness perspective. It's more than the preconceived notions that people have because they were so hurt. So many people are so hurt by the charismatic movement, by Republican and Democrat, so hurt by education, so hurt by social media and by gaming and videos and social media methods and all these different things, that because of their pain, their hurt, their preconceived notions, their own fleshly thinking, and they looking at a perspective and saying, okay, it should be A to B to C, and no, we shouldn't be disrupting the status quo, that they're using these fleshly things to look and judge and perceive something for which when God sees it objectively, when God sees it with all of the other facts that are around it, right? People are like, they neglected to see that there was cyber, issues, that the military had certain information, that Durham and the prosecutors, they had information that the media didn't know. And so when media said, no, that, Spygate thing and, oh, no, the Mueller and the Russia thing and all of these, Obama spying. No, that can't be possible. Why would a president do something like that? No, it's unfeasible. And so they're using information in that moment, 4 or 5 years ago, for which they're making a judgment, but they refuse. And that's why God is humbling it and getting people to realize that it is within the realm of possibility, that there is worldwide global sex trafficking, that there is global torture, of children and taking out, certain, fluids and things like that and consuming it. There is a possible feasibility that there are satanic worshipers for which Satan awarded with money for worldly things, Hollywood fame, and many of these other things for which previously people thought, oh, no, that's a conspiracy theory. Oh, no, there's no way God could use that and be in this space. And so when I read the comments, when I read the news and various things that are uncovering, and again, I've always said that we're in a period of exposure and bringing to light what has been darkness and getting people at different levels as they feel comfortable, as they get more information, and not all at once because people get overwhelmed. God is using people to slowly unveil and to grow them, to get their perspective, their perception, all of their stereotypes, all of their preconceived notions, tearing it down and then building it up to see, wow, there was something there. I see it from this perspective. Oh, God was using this person. Oh, it is feasible that somebody like Trump or somebody like XYZ or somebody like whoever can be used as long as they are sticking for righteousness. And a lot of people, they're finding out too late about cancel culture. They're finding out too late about how God, in his grace, some people, though they are, supposed to have a good, track, they're supposed to have a good resume. They may fall at sometimes. You may see them only in one angle, one snippet. You don't see the full story, and you only perceive with what you see through that little hole that you can see through, but you don't see the full picture that God sees. So that's what God is doing right now. He's saying there's grace, there's mercy, there's love that you got to show, and that there's some things you may not quite understand with your limited knowledge. And so that's why right now it's more important than ever to be able to read the Bible, to get your foundation, your framework in place, and then to be able to pray. Because a lot of people, they're going to find out too late, and they're going to be humbled because their perception of how God is working and what he's doing is going to fall short because it was from a human perspective as opposed to God's perspective and what he's doing and how he's using and bringing all these different things, even though it looks like suffering. Again, that even begs the question of fundamentally of suffering. Why does God allow suffering? He can't be a God that just does that and allows hunger and allows starvation. He would intervene quickly, right? And so that's a very rudimentary question and outlook for which then people incorrectly consume. Then that means there's no God, because if you say he's merciful and he's loving, then he wouldn't allow all these things, right? But people, they don't understand sin. They don't understand God, his patience, his everlasting presence and omnipotence and everything around it, and how he's working all of these different things, right, for some purpose that we don't understand fully, but because we have to expand our thoughts, be more open-minded to how God is. And again, I'm not saying open-minded to something heretical and new age or something weird. I'm saying let's go back to God. Let's go back to Scripture. Let's go back to seeing it from God's perspective and what he's doing. I'm doing a new thing, God says in the Bible. And so, guys, it's a big time right now because people they have to go through this dark period of arguments, of hashing things out, of trying to figure it out, discussions, healthy discussions. And that's why I leave comments, guys. I leave people open to be able to say their thoughts. As long as you're not cursing or doing something absolutely terrible, then you have the right to be able to discuss it, look at it, critically think through it, and then see what God is going to show you and reveal to you, as long as you're open to growing and to learning and to getting yourself to that next level of sanctification, getting yourself to that next level of wisdom and discernment and understanding so that you can see it from a higher perspective. And what I mean by that is from a big picture perspective, as opposed to such a narrow-minded, very strict, very human perspective. And so, again, an encouraging word for you guys, because this is what's happening right now. People are taking and again, if you're watching this video and you're yawning and you're like, oh my gosh, what is this guy talking about? It may not be for you at this time, because God hasn't opened that level of understanding, of maturity to be able to comprehend this. And I read an entire chapter basically yesterday in a video. So if you missed that, go back to that video. But right now, that's what God's doing. He's taking some people. He's saying, man, I was here, but now I've grown to be here, and a little more, so that you can see it more objectively, meaning from God's perspective, as opposed to our own perspective and our own desire for outcome, our own desire to not disrupt the status quo, just like Jesus and the Pharisees at the time, and many other things. I could go on and on with many examples, guys. I've only cherry-picked a few of them, but there's so many examples in all realms of society, in engineering, education, technology, health, many, many places that God's doing this to get yourself to wake up, and each according to their own way and what you know. Because as much as I work in this area, or I have an understanding of business and finance or whatever it is, there's other areas that that God's using to have the same effect of humbling, of growing, seeing outside, seeing it from God's perspective, and then people growing from that. So again, guys, exciting time, guys. It's even working in the Bible for ideologies, theologies. It's working with religion. It's working with all these different things, guys. So be encouraged, be blessed, and I'll talk to you guys very soon.